Welcome to the DDP, the very first Devlin Doull podcast. Talking with Simon Doull, 98 Test wickets for New Zealand, now firmly embedded as part of an international cricket commentary team, working Sky Sport in England, all over the world. You would have heard his voice. We've got so much to talk about. Obviously, the England series, questions about the refusal to play Ajaz, Black Caps missing the end of the upcoming summer to play IPL, the future of women's Test cricket, and also just about Simon, his past career, where he sits now. If he had any advice at all for young men and women starting to play cricket, both in New Zealand and all around the world, what would that be? So much to cover then, but obviously we'll kick it off with the recent series loss by New Zealand 3-0 to England. So good to catch up as always. Before we do anything else, we've got to talk about this tour, the 3-test loss. What has the reaction been in England to it?
I guess excitement around the way that England have played their cricket, the way that they have won those test matches. The fact that, if you go back only a year ago or a year and a bit ago when we came, and when I say we, I say New Zealand, came to England needed 272 or 275 on the last day of the test match at Lord's, and they refused to chase it. Now, this side has completely turned around. They lost, I think, 16 of their last 17 test matches, and all of a sudden to come out and play some positive cricket, to entertain, to say that they would chase or attempt to chase anything, even if it meant losing, has just sort of given them a little bit of a positive vibe, but it's also given the public something to really enjoy and run with. And it's early days. Look, it's not a recipe for long-term success just yet, but it's a terrific start. So very, very excited about the test match, which starts in, what are we talking now, only a few days' time against India.
How much did we lay this on a plate for them, though, with terrible decisions, captaincy decisions, some selection where you scratch your head, and also just moments during those test matches where we blew it, we had it, and we couldn't hold it?
Yeah, there was a bit of everything involved in that. Everything that you've just said, really. There was some very poor selections, I thought. Our poor captaincy in use of Ajaz Patel in that first test match, letting it slip a little bit too much in that second, although, you might just argue that Johnny Bairstow took it away from us. I did think there was some moments in that test match where we chose the wrong options. And then in the last test match, again, just really bad selection. Not playing Ajaz Patel in that last test match, going in with only 3 frontline bowlers, and they were all seamers. And all it was, the only reason they did that was to protect the batting. And I keep going back to, we've done this so many times. We're trying to protect our batting lineup instead of actually picking bowlers that can win us test matches. And that was a big issue at Headingley.
Simon Doull, 98 test wickets for us. You hear him all over the world calling cricket. This is the platform. And Doull, so, you got to throw where it's due. The top order was a failure, wasn't it? And that's very rare for New Zealand cricket and our Black Caps in recent times. There's always been one or two of them that have actually performed. And I'm looking at Kane at the moment just as a subpart to this, and that elbow his, and the fact that he hasn't hit a test 50 in a year, and he was no good at the IPL and everything. And I'm just wondering whether or not, are we being told the truth here about what is actually his problem is and whether he's over it or not?
I think we are. I think he's over the problem as far as the elbow is concerned. I just think the form, and when you're not playing consistently, and when you're missing games for whether it be elbow injuries, whether it be COVID, whether it be birth of children, you're just not playing consistently enough. And I think that's his issue. Normally, we expect Kane Williamson to be playing every format, every game, and every opportunity. And he just continues when he's in form. He gets that run of form. But when he's not playing, and is all of a sudden out of form, that can continue as well. So he's looked out of sorts. He looked awful at the IPL. That'd be by his own admission as well. So he's struggling. I don't think he's struggling with injury. I think he's struggling with just form at the moment. I said it on Sky over here. I thought that. And I don't know, I haven't got any inside information on this or any of that, but I think the test match we've just seen at Headingley will be his last test match as captain. I think he's about to step down at some stage and relinquish that test match captaincy to probably Tom Latham and just continue on as our white ball captain. And hopefully, and I mean this, I hope that he will just go back to being our best ever test match batter and just churn out the runs for us.
Yeah, here. Look, because, part of it, and I don't mean to, be carping or critical here, because I absolutely love the dude and I admire him so much, but he sets such high standard, and I suppose when you set those kind of standard, it's like McGrath bowling or the beloved RIP Shane Warne bowling, or these guys that or Greenwich and Haynes back in the day. You expect these guys to hit 100 every time that they open the bat, don't you? So, that's what he's done. He's set himself that standard, and that's what we always want from him.
Yeah, and he wants to live up to that standard as well. He never shirk away from that, and he'll never say that, the standards I set or the what I had 2-3 years ago is not what I can do now. He would never shy away from that sort of thing. That's not Kane Williamson. I think that there's an enormous burden of captaincy, and when I look around the world nowadays, he's been doing this for, I think we're going on 6 years now. Been captain in all 3 formats of the game, outside of. I want to say Babar Azam at the moment, I think, with Pakistan, and he's only been doing it for a couple of years. I don't think anyone else in world cricket in the top sort of 6-7 nations, I don't think they have a captain of all 3 formats. And I just think it's too difficult. And you throw in the captaincy of the Sunrisers at the IPL as well. I just think it's too much. And I want Kane Williamson to be New Zealand's greatest ever player. And I have no doubt that he probably is anyway, statistically wise, but I want him to be the Joe Root. And all of a sudden you're seeing a very different Joe Root now that Ben Stokes has taken over the captaincy. He is just Joe Root, the batter who wins games for England. And that's his role. And I would love that to be Kane Williamson's role at the test match level and just continue to captain the white ball formats.
Simon Doull with us on the platform. I was just thinking, harking back to what you were saying about, being out of form. And, I had a couple of days where I was on my deathbed this week, Doull. I had a man flu. And, honestly, the physicians around the world are saying that if it wasn't
I don't know how you got through it.
Thanks, mate. It's the strength of character as much as every physical fitness and things. But in all seriousness, when, is it like that, because you come back to the radio and even if you have a day off, you feel like you've never done it before and you're so rusty. And I'm wondering whether there's a parallel there. Is that like that when you're playing test cricket where, you might miss a couple of matches and all of a sudden you're out there and it's just like you've never held a bat almost before. The conditions are different. You got to, you see what I'm getting at? And you can't regather your form when you're playing. Yeah,
exactly. And that's exactly how sometimes it feels. It almost sometimes it feels foreign to you, which is a really weird thing to say because it's something you've done all your life. But when you feel like you're not in nick or it's not coming out, and from a bowling point of view, and that's sort of how I can talk, is you just feel like you've never bowled a ball in your life. It's like, how do I do this? What's going on? Why am I getting, why can't I bowl it straight? Why can't I swing it anymore? Why can't I do this? And at times you will go through those situations and you expect the greats of the game not to go through them very often at all. But when they do, they almost find it harder to come back from. Because they are so good. And I have no doubt that, that Kane's got runs and he's got thousands of runs left in him and we'll see the best of him. And, New Zealand have got an enormous amount of cricket coming up, providing he gets himself back on track and maybe makes the decisions that are best for his cricketing future, not just his captaincy future, then I think we'll see him back. I have no doubt that we'll see him back in amongst the runs and back, dominating world bowling attacks for New Zealand. So that's all I want. I don't care about his captaincy, and that might sound a little bit flippant, but the bottom line is he needs to be Kane Williamson, the batter, first and foremost from a New Zealand point of view, and the captaincy is a sort of a bonus and offside of that. So if he needs to relinquish something to be Kane Williamson, the best batter we've ever had, then I have no issue with him doing that.
I've got so many more questions to ask you about all kinds of different things. So I'll ask you one more about this series and we'll move on from that, because I want to actually track back and ask you a few questions about your own career and things, and just where you sit with cricket these days and what you would tell a young Simon Doull if you were starting to play again. But we'll get to that in a second. Finally, our refusal is on the test series to play Ajaz. Now, both Gary Stead and Kane Williamson admitted after that third test that they said, look, he's our number one spinner and these are decisions you have to live by as a selector. But I'm asking myself, well, what consequences are there apart from a few pre-prepared answers at the press conference? It's not like the selectorial axe falls on your head as a selector, and yet these decisions are clearly wrong. Most cricket fans, commentators, past players thought they were wrong, and yet what happens? Nothing happens.
No, well, that's the problem. And I mean, nothing happened after the Bangladesh loss at Mount Maunganui. He should have played there. How does a guy not play after taking 10 wickets in an innings? He doesn't play for another 4 Test matches. It's just unheard of. And Mount Maunganui was a prime example where he should have played. Now, I know that Ebadot Hussain, the Bangladesh spinner, seamer, did most of the damage there, but that wicket deserved a spin bowler. It deserved Ajaz Patel. And we continually find a way, or try and make a way, to bolster our batting rather than picking our best 5 bowlers and saying, in that Test match, either Will Young or Henry Nicholls should not have played. Now, yes, it's a tough decision, but that's what you have to do as a selector. Don't make the easy call and say, Ajaz doesn't play much for us, so he's just not going to play, and we'll go on with Bracewell. Well, it's a really weak decision from Gary Stead and from Kane. And and where does the buck stop? I mean, that's the problem. There is no accountability for this for the decisions that are being made at the moment. And there's a look. It's a hard one. It's a tough one. I know, and it's easy in hindsight. But I mean, I said it before the Test. I said it prior to the toss that Patel should have played. I said it during the Test match. It's not just something that was said after the fact.
No.
Everybody knew a spinner should have played, a genuine spinner should have played, and we didn't play one.
What does it do for our WTC status as World Test champions? Does it smear it at all, the fact that we've just been belted like this?
Oh, I don't think it smears it. Look, we had a great run. We had a fortunate situation last year, which got us to the final. We won all our games at home. And I think when Australia didn't go to South Africa, they lost points and we gained that number 2 ranking or whatever it was. And then we're too good for India in the final. It doesn't smear what we've done in the past. It just means we're nowhere near defending it.
Okay.
And we would like to have been able to defend it, and we can't. We can't even dream of defending it now. I think we're 6th or 7th in the order. And we're no chance.
No, we're actually one above Bangladesh at the bottom, mate. So it's even worse than that. Simon Doull with us, 98 Test wickets for our country and calling it on Sky Sport all over the world, calling cricket now. Dooley, so for a start, why did they never let you play? Was it Bangladesh and Hamilton to get the last 2? And I know that you don't do this in professional sport. You don't say, hey, look, we're going to do that. But why the hell didn't they let you, mate? You were fit, you were firing, it was your home wicket. I just thought that sucked. It still sucks to me.
Yeah, look, it was. I think it was.
It's a long time ago, mate. But.
Gosh, I'm going to go back now. Australia. It was Australia. I played Australia at the Basin Reserve, and then they picked Daryl Tuffy to play at Hamilton.
That's right. That was the crater wicket, wasn't it? Wasn't it a bomb site? There were big holes there.
No, that was South Africa. Was the crater.
Oh, right.
And I think we had Australia about 6 down for not many, and Gilchrist got 100 and Martin got runs, and we ended up losing the Test match. But hey, look, I mean, I should have played. I was talking to someone the other night about this, and when I look back through the 90s period, and I'll ask you this question, Marty, because you're a knowledgeable sportsman. Through that 90s time, so we had Chris Cairns, Dion Nash, and Simon Doull through the 90s, I suppose, we probably should have led our bowling attack on many, many occasions. Now, how many Test matches did we play together?
You played 2, the 3 of you.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, that's
how sad it was.
Look, I was just thinking that because I was just thinking you at India with your 7 for it, and then
I was injured.
Yeah. God, that's God. What would you say to yourself now if you're getting into cricket now, or your advice for anyone that is young getting into cricket? The game has changed so much. There's so much of the world to explore. There's wealth to be made. All of these things, but it's still a bat and a ball. I mean, what's your advice to people if they were playing cricket now, both boys and girls?
Boys and girls, I'd be line driving. I'd be leaning to power hit early. And when I say power hit, it's not slogging. I'm talking power hitting the ball on the up, down the ground.
Yep.
Particularly the girls, because we just don't see that in New Zealand cricket. We slog across the line in our women's game, and we see it with Sophie Devine, we see it with Susie Bates. Their go-to or their get-out option is to slog across the line. They don't use their feet and go down the ground. So if I was anyone, a mum or a dad or a coach coaching young girls in particular, I would teach them how to use their feet and line drive down the ground. That would be my biggest thing for girls. Boys, not much different. Learn how to use your feet, but it's all about awareness of what you want to do, and fitness is a massive part of it. Being bowling fit, strength and conditioning from the age of probably 14, 15, 16, not waiting till you're into a senior team at 19, 20, 21 and thinking about strength and conditioning, because it's too late by then. You'll pick up back injuries, you'll pick up all sorts of injuries that will probably, at some stage, hamper your career. So I'd be thinking strength and conditioning at the age of 15, 16, but in particular, that line drive and that power hitting down the ground, which is something we really struggle with in the women's game. And every other team I see in the top sort of 2 or 3 has it. There's an incredible career to be made out of cricket nowadays. That these T20 leagues that are popping up all around the world, we should, and cricket should be getting the cream of the crop as far as the athletes are concerned at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I'm just still amazed in this country how we have never managed to, and New Zealand cricket has never managed to tap into the Polynesian population. We've had one or two, but that's big strapping young lads, big, look at, and also powerful women. And you think, why can't they bowl a cricket ball? Why can't a lot of Polynesian kids be taught how to bowl a cricket ball?
Oh, they can, and the bottom line is the access to the game, and it's a bloody expensive game, Marty. That's the sad thing about it. And when we talk about money back into grassroots cricket, where does that really go?
Yeah.
Does it actually go to grassroots? Does it just go to the next level down? I mean, how much cricket is being taught in South Auckland?
Yeah, that's right.
The hub of
zero.
In the hub of Polynesian areas where. They are genuine athletes.
Yes.
They are genuine athletes.
Mate, they're 14-year-old boys as the men.
Biggest thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we see that all the time. And the girls are no different. Genuinely athletic. And you give them an opportunity to... And, the one thing I see in India time and time again, I don't want to say that New Zealand is like this, but, young boys and girls in India, they bring their families out of poverty. And they give them great lives and great lifestyles, and they lift the whole family spirit and the whole family future, because they choose cricket and they're good at it. And I know New Zealand's not the same as far as poverty is concerned, but there is a lot of a huge gap between wealth and non-wealth.
Oh, there is in this country, mate. It gets bigger every day, mate.
If you can talk to some of these young boys and girls in South Auckland or anywhere in New Zealand, whether it be in parts of Hamilton where I've spent a lot of time, parts of Palmerston North, parts of Christchurch, parts of Dunedin, where it is possibly a lower socio-economic area. But if you can talk to some of these young boys and girls and say, listen, there is a pathway to a phenomenal sport around the world, and the women's game is taking off.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the growth game. It is the growth area of the world.
Why don't the ICC promote women's Test cricket then, mate? Why are they interested in that? Why aren't New Zealand?
It's not viable. It's not viable. And I know that there will be women and people that will say what Greg Barclay said about Test cricket is wrong. But the bottom line is it loses a fortune. It loses so much money. And the future of cricket, if you want to promote the world game, and if you want to have World Cups, then T20 and 50 over cricket, and T20 to a large extent, 50 over to a lesser extent, that's where the growth of the game is. The growth of the game is not in Test cricket. There is not one, even in England, Marty. England love their Test match cricket, right? England women love their Test match. There is not a 2-day, 3-day, or 4-day competition. Not one.
Oh, okay. You can't play Test cricket without that here, right? Yeah.
No, there's not a 2-day, 3-day, 4-day competition in Australia because it costs too much money. So the growth of the game is at T20 and 50 over level. And if you are fortunate enough to play a Test match as a female cricketer, then that's great. I think it's fantastic. But there is zero money, and you lose a fortune. So you make that choice. If you want New Zealand cricket to pour money into women's Test match cricket, they've got to take it from somewhere else. So if you want them to take it all away from grassroots, take it all away from the T20 competition, just so that you can have a Test cap, well, good luck to you. You're actually not doing the game any good.
Finally, then, it's such a good chat with you. I mean, I love doing this, mate. Finally, that your career, you're going to have a much longer career off the field in the commentary box than you did as a player. And I was watching Charles Barkley. I love Charles Barkley. I was doing the NBA basketball throughout the season, and he's had 18 years in the on the call and 16 as a player and things. That never occurred to you, did it? But now this is it. I mean, this is can you see anything else? I mean, can you see yourself getting a real job at some stage, like I've got?
I've done my time doing a real job, I think. Look, I sit in a very, very privileged position. I get to travel the world and talk a little bit of crap about something I did 20 years ago. And, it's all courtesy of probably pulling a white, a silver fern on. And I never think that I deserve it. I continually tell people that this is a lifestyle that pays. It's not a job. It's a very, very privileged position. I also like to think that I get the work because I'm good at what I do.
No, you bring it. You bring it. Look, I've got to say that to you. You bring it. You guys bring it. I mean, look, there's nothing better in the world to me than the great commentators are the rock stars of sport, as far as I'm concerned, and on my side of the microphone, mate. And it adds so much to the game. Don't think for a second it doesn't. No one wants a bloody commentary that's silent, bro.
No, and that's the thing. And I like to think I also bring an element of truth to it, and I don't sugarcoat. No,
you talk
much.
To us like you're on the couch with us, mate. That's the best thing about it. Same as Christian Cullen doing the rugby. I love Christian. He's like a mate sitting on the couch talking with you.
And that's the key to it. And the day that I consider it a hard work or a job that that I've got to sort of struggle to get out of bed to do, then that's the day I shouldn't be doing it, because we do sit in a very privileged position. But the fact is, I get to do this, and we didn't have contracts when I played cricket for New Zealand, but everything I have or do is a consequence of having done that. And so it owes me absolutely nothing, and it never will. And I get I get the best seat in the house. I work alongside some of the greats of the game, some of the great commentators that we'll ever listen to. And, you share a commentary box with these people, share a dinner table and a glass of wine or a beer at, after hours with them. And it's a pretty special thing.